All right, YouTube was good. Was good, family. Yeah, you all family. Whether you subscribe or not, you click this video and you seen this face. There's no thumbnail, and you wonder what this guy has to say, man. Welcome to the family, man. So while you at it, subscribe. You just want to hear God just talk about just regular life shit, you know. I know a lot of people don't have people they talk to every day, so I'm your only friend. I'm your friend, you know. If you on YouTube, you're in the YouTube space and you're just looking for guidance because I'm one of those guys too. I mean, I've actually been doing that for the last 7 years at least. Once I found YouTube, you know, I found my mentors. I found people to look up to, which is sad, but you know, I do have people in real life. Well, I had coming up, but I've also been an isolated guy where when I was like 23 and I had a bunch of questions. I think it started with religion. I was very, I just had so much questions, man. Like, I mean, I was hearing what my parents was saying all my life. Not just my parents, because not my mom or my dad, but like, you have this grandma, they might not never been able to read the Bible, but they just spiritually believe in God, specifically Jesus Christ. And you've been this is not a video on Christianity, but I've been told that all since I was a child, since I was a baby, just always in the church to the point where by the time I'm like 22, 23, I just like wanted to even then like I wasn't really going to church in my teenage to my late early 20s, but then I came back and just wanted to make my grandma proud. At my first day going back to church with her after basically moving into her, I left New York and I moved in with my grandma in a neighboring city. And I just wanted to, at first I took off my earrings because that, like, she's just very strict like that. She like, well, I don't mind you staying here, but if you're gonna stay here, you're gonna go to school. You're not gonna be wearing your earring, and you're gonna go to church. And I just felt so obedient at the time, right? And I remember I took my earring off that first couple of days in the week, and I felt all right. I'm like, damn, I don't need that shit. Like I think I was wearing two earrings in my ear at the time. Did I ever have two piercing? Let's see. Yeah, I can't believe it. I pierced my ears twice. I don't even know why I thought piercing was cool. But yeah, man, like I pierced my ears and, you know, damn, I'm a little distracted again. I pierced my ears and I was over there and my grandma said all that and I was like, all right, whatever, I'll do that. And, you know, shit, what's the worst, right? And then I went to church with her and we, the first day I got up and accepted Jesus Christ. So I did that wanting to please her, but then again, I had like a few weeks later, they like, okay, it's time for you to get into baptism class and all that. And then, I just still had questions. Like I was trying to read a couple pages of the Bible. You know how it would be. You start falling asleep and stuff like that. So I went to YouTube, long story short, and kind of like had people summarizing the Bible to me. So, they people who like really big on it. They breaking it down, but they're not really giving you like whether it's true or not. Like that's like one of the hardest answer to find. Yeah, they might say it along the line, read between the line type stuff, but even if they did say it, it's kind of like I don't know. But like I was watching this one guy. I just signed out the name. Merkaba or something like that. Like he went deep on ancient Egypt and all that stuff. It was like a loophole. But like he was just basically saying what this signified, tied to Saturn. I was just watching. Like I was working a security job, just be in the booth or whatever, or walking up and down, up and down with my. I don't believe I was wearing headphones. Maybe I was, but whatever, right? I just had like hours and hours of just watching it, listening to it in my car. But that's when I locked into YouTube. But eventually I grew out of that, right? Because then it starts suggesting to you other videos. So then I also had questions about women. Uh, you start to come across terms of female nature and stuff like that. And I think from one to the other, that's when I found like MGTOW, men going their own way. And I even started soaking that in, where you can't deny it, where men do go through things with women. Uh, and as a young guy, if sometimes it could ruin it for you, obviously, because it could keep you from meeting the girl that's for you. But at the same time, if you're not an ugly guy and women at least say yes, like you're not creepy, like they at least wanna go on a date with you, you're not gonna get too deep into that. But it did has its effect on me, like to the point where like things were just starting to flare up, where the Me Too movement and all that, women were just taking powerful men down, which had nothing to do with me, but I more sympathize with that, where I'm like, damn, that's fucked up. Why it seems like everyone just, ready to come up, like it was just fucked up. Like just watching guys going through or talking about how they got finesse and divorce, just things that I could relate to, or even just looking back, how many failed relationships, not full blown relationship, because I can't really say I've been. But long story short, it was just like I was just interested. It's kind of like reading a Reddit forum or whatever, right? Because then, yeah, like it brought me to all these things. So I went deep in the rabbit hole. So I also got over the MGTOW thing, where it led me to Red Pill and just the manosphere itself, which got me over to Passport Bros and all that. And now I feel like so I'm more of my own person, to the point where I could take the good out of all these things and still be like, well, I could still make my own conclusion. Like to the point now, I'm like, if I have my own channel, I'm not gonna just be regurgitating mostly what other people are saying, because that's what would have happened if I started my YouTube channel back in 2018 when I first started trying to record something. I literally felt stuck, because I'm like, man, I don't have the same experience what these guys are talking about. Like I may have had a relationship for like a month, maybe supposedly 9 months was my longest relationship, but I never got past the 3 months mark. Like it's really just been playful stuff, or I moved around a lot, so I might have had a little situation, and then next thing you know, it's time for graduation, or I was moving somewhere else. So that's always been my life. And by the time I was 21, 22, like I said, I was listening to MGTOW. I just, I wouldn't say scared of women, but like I was just keeping my distances sometimes, and it also made me awkward a little bit. So, like I said, this is what this channel is about. Like, I wanted to start a channel since then, but I should have just started one and just kind of be true to myself, like I am now. Like, I'm talking about things I know. I'm talking about my life, and I did make some attempts, but my only mistake was that I would post it on because I had like about 2,500 followers on Instagrams, but it was people I went to school with. You know, it's not like YouTube where it gives you a shot to find your niche. I was just talking in front of a camera to, people I may have an awkward interaction with, or, I was just, or like people that I knew in my past. I felt like I just had a lot of enemies, like, because I was just moving around a lot, and I was just a kid who couldn't really find my grip in life. So I felt like I was, plus I was living in my past where, I once was playing football, high school football, didn't really know what the future hold. I just knew that I was putting a lot of time into it and that I would try to play it in college. And when that didn't work out and I had to start from scratch, it really took a while to adjust. Like I tried to go into music and I wasn't really like talented, or it wasn't even something that I showed, you know, it was just something random, and I just had a little bit of money to fuel it a little bit, but it was something I picked up, and I couldn't really fulfill it. But it was a good time because at some point I tried to play the managed role. So when I did see somebody that had a talent, I did kind of like offer my just my recording, whether it was a ride to the studio and things like that. So to each his own. I got a little story for everything, but yeah, like I found YouTube, man. I found characters. I found people with interesting stories. It didn't have to be anything specific. Till this day, my algorithm, I'll find a new person. So that's what gave me the guts to say, yo, let me start my channel. I knew this guy that was barely getting like 10 couple views, but he just kept doing it, and he was doing big time content. And at first, I'm like, damn, this ninja never even had a chance. Like he was just talking about how much, like we go through this thing where we call it rage, like red pill rage or whatever. And he was just like, man, he was just talking crazy, things that I probably would have said too, because these things could actually upset you, like whether you know it or not, because as a young man, you start off with nothing. Um, you know, people don't really put any value into your being until you actually start becoming some like your own person or somebody in society. And it's sad because now suddenly in the year 2025, uh, you finally start to hear our president start to address it. Barack Obama on a podcast, So now they're starting to pay attention, but truthfully, honestly, young guys we were going through that stuff, and finally, I'm 30 now, so it's like I could speak on it in a different from a different footing. But I remember when I was in the middle of it, and I'm like, man, I was just upset. I was just angered. I was I was a lot of things, man. So this is why I have this channel, man. Like I know sometimes I'm all over the place. I'm trying to find my niche. I'm trying to find my ground. But at the same time, I'd rather be making the mistake here, just making a little mistake here and there. But eventually, some will catch on. If not, just like everything else, if I have to leave it alone just because, I will. But yeah, I'm about to go check on the car because, if you see me in this lot just walking around back and forth, just know it's just I'm charging. I'm at a charging station and I'm passing time and I'm just making it worthwhile. That's one of my channels. And it's just only on purpose, just because there's a purpose for everything. So while you're doing something, you might as well you might as well be doing multiple things, right? It's my way of multitasking. But anyways, we're gonna end it right here. Maybe we'll shoot another one for the night. Maybe not, but happy to have checked in and do my thing. And thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, don't forget, and leave a like, man. That won't hurt. You know what I'm saying? Peace.